Okay, so episode 303, making real estate investing part of your overall cash flow plan. It is my good fortune to bring my good friend, Brett Warner, onto the program. Brett owns a company called Strategy Real Estate here locally. He's done just a lot of investing over the years personally in both helping people buy investment properties. And so I thought we'd have him on because this is something that's real popular with a lot of people is owning real estate. Brett Warner, welcome to Sound Retirement Planning.
Thank you for having me today, Jason. I'm glad to be here, and yes, just really appreciate our friendship through the years. You're really a great guy, and I just thank you for spontaneously inviting me today.
Well, I know. Well, we were talking about it. So this verse about the righteous choose their friends carefully. I'm reminded, you and I, we were at a camp. I think it was like 4th or 5th grade for our kids, and you and I were volunteer chaperones for this camp. The kids go off to YMCA, and here comes this guy. He's like talking my ear off about real estate, and I'm like, who is this guy? And we just hit it off, and we've been hanging out and going to lunch ever since then. So it is. I always love to think back about how these relationships come to be. You know, who are the connectors?
Yes.
And on divine relationships, like the ones that God brings people together. I mean, our kids go to a Christian school, we're at this Christian camp, and here comes this guy, Brett, and next thing I know, we're friends.
Yes.
I think about my wife. You know, the reason that I met her is because my dad, when I was 18, he said, "Hey, Jason, I'll pay for you to go on this winter camp with the church." At the time, I wanted nothing to do with the church, but I wanted to go snowboarding, so I thought, yeah, I'll go on this trip. And next thing I know, I meet my wife at these divine appointments.
Oh, yes.
So what do you think about that verse this morning?
Well, I think it's certainly true because it's in the Word. But I think there's a lot of ways in this world, and it's easy to chase a lot of these ways. But there's really only one way, and for me, that is for certain, and that is understanding there's something beyond, and it's the relationships that God has for us, and those relationships are what really drive me. It's stretching me, sometimes even in the pain and in the joy, but those friendships of just stretching one another. My friends asking me questions to search my heart, me asking them questions, and really seeking truth together, and not to capitalize necessarily on it, but to make people better, if that's possible.
Yeah. God loves relationships. I'm reminded of he says, when 2 or more are gathered in my name, I'm right there with them. And so it's we've got a God of love and a God that loves relationships. He loves bringing people together, especially people that are coming together to serve Him and worship Him. And so, anyways, it's just been fun for me to get to know you over the years, and I'm really excited. It's one thing to talk about real estate investing with people that want to invest in real estate, people that have maybe bought one house. It's a completely different thing to talk to somebody that's really spent their life making this part of, this has been your career. So I thought maybe we could go back to the beginning. You started out fixing airplanes, working on airplanes at Boeing. So tell us a little bit of the backstory, where you started and how you ended up doing this real estate thing.
Okay, well, back in, probably my teens, if we go way back before, but there was this guy named Charlton Sheets, and he sold these midnight videos, and I saw it, but did not think I never really did it. I bought the video, and like most people, you buy the video, you buy the book. They make the money on the book or the box, and then you put it in the corner, and one day think that you get to it. You open it up. Well, I was at Boeing. I went out on my career school, college, and in my mid-20s, I always knew I wanted to do real estate. I knew there was a sense of freedom there because of these Charlton Sheets videos.
Yeah. So it's sense of freedom, but you got to tell people you're like in the wing of these Boeings, right? I mean, you're like experiencing the exact opposite of freedom.
Oh, yes.
So you're in the wing. You're in the depth of the belly with no room to move. You're sweating. You're hot.
Yeah. For any of those Boeing workers on there, I was in the laydown of the wing shop, and everybody called the wing shop, basically was the armpit of Boeing. And so I first of all,
and you're not a small guy.
No, not a small guy. So they're big wings, but really it's just a lot of hard work. It's a spot where you get metal shavings, you get hot grease. You're just working hard. It's really the hardest spot. But people call it the lazy bee, not in the wing line. And so what I learned was while I was in there, I spent half the day listening to real estate, listening to financial. I'll just kind of jump forward real fast, so I know we're on a time limit, but so I was in this wing, and I would listen to sermons for 4 hours of the day, which I think was kind of building my character, building this thought process, your heart. And then the second half of the day, I'd listen to financial shows. Bob, I don't need to go through the names, but many people that had different shows, and just knew that I was not meant for the time clock. Mm-hmm. I felt that I was in prison when I was in the time clock. And I always tell my friends, when you're 27 and counting, about 40 years to retirement, there's something wrong. And so even my bosses said, you really shouldn't be counting to retirement until you're 3 out. So I just knew that I had to go get real estate. And I went and got my license. I jumped out into it. I kept learning and educating myself. And as you know, I was the owner of the brokerage. Really just started myself and wanted to have my own, just buy my own deals. And at one point I had about 25 brokers in the office, and it was got really way ahead of me, but it was a lot of fun because I was able to teach people in relationships why building wealth. Two, I think, are very important things in life, and being self-sustaining and those relationships.
So you, at one point, how many doors or how many different units would you say you owned personally from an investment property standpoint?
Personally, I went up. I could have kept going, but I just realized I was becoming a slave and not really enjoying life. When I was in Disneyland or across the world, it was following me. So I was over 100 units, just barely. We managed, though, about 600 units.
So you had a property management company as well. And
yes.
So you were managing, at one point, you were like the largest property management company in the area as well.
Correct. And we only worked out of 2 cities, which are local here. But I did not go. I really kept my sphere within about 10 miles, so we could be very efficient in making sure we're taking care of the properties the best we could. I actually didn't even want to have a property management company. I was just managing my own properties. An anesthesiologist came up to me and said, would you manage my properties? And I said no, and several times. And he kept coming back. He was a friend like you. And finally I said yes. He had 8 property doors, and from that point on, within 3 years, I was at about 400 doors.
Wow.
And so...
and then you have since sold that business, the property management business.
I sold that over a decade ago. And that was when I was very happy when I sold that, because I built something I did not realize how much work it was going to take. But I learned so much there. It was good, but I was tired. So in 2008-9, I let just the property management division going, keeping open the real estate brokerage side where we do commercial and we do residential.
And you've helped people buy investment properties. So not just, you've helped people buy just the house that they want to live in, but you've also helped people buy the property where they're looking for cash flow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So this show today, I want to talk to our listeners about how do you make good decisions if you want to buy real estate investment for cash flow purposes for retirement. What are some of the things people need to be thinking about? What do they need to be looking for? Are they buying duplexes? Are they buying multi-units? Are they buying apartments? Are they buying commercial? What do you like the most personally?
Personally, cash flow.
Well, you're going to fit right in here, man. This is all about cash flow. We love cash flow too. Why do you say that?
Well, I really believe that there's such thing as a return on investment. And so there's people that are out there, I guess they're looking for losses. But generally when somebody comes to my office, they'll usually identify with the networks and with the web out there these days, and that they can find them. So my job is to make sure that the property makes sense. The property has to... cash flow. I always say to people, it's really simple. I can give you all this cap rate. I can give you multipliers. I can give you all this stuff. But really, is the property in the black at the end of the year? Mm-hmm. And then what is that percentage that you're in the black?
Is it still possible to find that in today's real estate market where prices continue just to skyrocket?
Yes. And that's because people are still putting down money. Right now, banks they're getting more creative the further we get in here to 2020 and 19. They were very stringent for a long time. And so now what they're doing is they're loosening up. So what we're going to find is people buying not as good as deals because you put less money in. If, for example, you have a $100,000 house and requires 20% down, well, that's 20% down, which is $20,000. So there should be a return. If somebody starts going, well, I want to get 100% in, 0 down, well, you just probably lost most of your ROI. You might have 0 ROI.